Hi, my name is Daniel Dano Pierce, and I've never done anything like this before, but I wanted to make a kind of a statement about how I feel about Columbus Day and how I feel about Native Americans and our history. And I thought about it a great deal, and I'm going to mostly read it. But today is Columbus Day, and I don't celebrate this day, nor do I honor this man in any way. And I suggest that Italian Americans find a new hero, a new heroic figure. For from everything that I've read, Columbus was in no way a great hero or a great explorer. He represents something that was arrogant, not Christian, and brought a great deal of suffering to this land. He and the people that accompanied him were basically invaders. He did not discover the New World, though it might have been new to him. It was not new to millions of peoples and many nations that were already here, who had societies, culture, religion, trade, and most of all, freedom. Like the rest of humanity, they had imperfections, disagreements, and from time to time, wars. But their worldview was so different from the one that Columbus and the ones that followed him held and religiously believed in. The tribal peoples were not prepared for what was to come, and in some ways were naive. European manifest destiny was about to overrun the New World, and it would never be the same. The manifest destiny dogma and doctrines of the Christian religions, I feel, are basically heresies and in direct opposition to the teachings of Christ. Basically, it's the belief that Christian nations of Europe have the right to conquer, claim, and annex any newly discovered land in the name of the Christian God, and either convert the people they find and make them second-class citizens of whatever crown, or enslave them where necessary, even eliminate the pagan populace to make room for Christian colonization. This is madness, and it is heresy. No group or race has the right to claim and conquer lands that other people live on, nor do they have the right to claim the resources of that land. They do not have the right to conquer, humiliate, enslave, torture, or terrorize in the name of a god by any name, a group, tribe, or nation of people. They do not have the right to remove tribes, peoples, or nations from their homes to reservations, which equate to concentration camps where they can be controlled, weakened, and assimilated, and deny nations, tribes, or peoples of their right of self-determination, religious freedom, free thought, or their possessions. No one, no matter how possessed of what they think is right and backed up by some twisted notion of cultural superiority or religion, has the right to take away, in essence kidnap, the children of a tribe, nation, or people to some kind of educational concentration camp called a school, to indoctrinate and dispossess the children of their culture, their spiritual beliefs, and language by force. Excuse me, I meant to say to dispossess the children of their culture, spiritual beliefs, and language by force. And I've seen some unbelievable documentaries on this, and what a sad legacy it is. Not many realize that for a long time the government of these United States formed and broke many treaties with the Native Americans, one after another, and forbade the practice of Indian religion and tribal customs and practices, among other things, not only important to Native culture, but sacred. So much for freedom of religion and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even after the American Revolution, the native lands were still up for grabs, and the tribes were pushed farther and farther west. I won't go into the history, it's very, very grave. You can Google it, or do a YouTube search. Look up Wounded Knee, the Trail of Tears, for a start. Or check on the conditions on some of the reservations in the United States, especially the Pine Ridge of South Dakota and the Rosebud reservations. None of this makes the news, and it should. And the real history should be in the history books of our school children. For all of our greatness as a nation, we have much to atone for. We do have a great documents like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that still need to be fairly applied and realized for all. Not just those in power, or those who have the most money, or who still use religion and the American flag to hide their prejudices and bigotries. In the past century up to now, things have slowly changed for the native tribes of the Americas, for the better. But there is still so much more social injustice, poverty, and most of all, pain. There remains a deep wound in the First Nations soul that only time and the Great Spirit can heal. Although not limited to the Christian nations, crimes against humanity were done by the Europeans as they moved out of Europe to conquer the world and claim the land, riches, and resources for their religion, countries, kings, and queens. There is much hidden or forgotten history because the victors always write the history books. What if the conquered peoples wrote the story? Gradually, the hidden or forgotten history is being brought to light in books, films, and on the internet, like in places like YouTube and Native peoples and tribal websites. The Native peoples, the First Nations of North, Central, and South America, were conquered and enslaved, and in some cases raped and butchered. Their cultures were crushed and eliminated, their possessions and resources were sacked and pillaged, their homelands and resources taken in the name of progress or God, and the people themselves driven away or simply killed. Some progress. Even today in some places, Native Americans are thought of as a block to progress as they fight to regain some of their ancestral homelands and resources. Greed is still rampant in America. Big corporations and monetary interest too often come before the needs of people or the sacredness of our land. Some things have no price tag and are worth saving, but tell that to those in power who have expensive lawyers and lobbyists. True Christian values in the timeline of history seem to have been totally forgotten and disregarded by the European invaders in the fray for profits and land resources. I do not say the Indian nations are blameless and innocent, as they too were human and had faults as we all do. But history will bear witness that many of our forefathers, the people who came and conquered these lands, were guilty of crimes against humanity. Columbus was one of them. I should add that not all European white Christians were guilty, and there were numbers who championed native rights and were true friends of the First Nations. But there is still too much blood along the trail of history, from Alaska to the tip of South America. May our future be brighter, kinder, and bring healing to the terrible wound from our collective past. I'm not celebrating Columbus Day, or will I ever. Knowledge is power. Seek it. Small gestures of goodwill are like a few drops of water that eventually turn into a stream, then a brook, then a river, then a big river. We can all do something, even if it's small, a small something. So maybe, just maybe, we can walk into the future together as people, healed and united, black, red, white, or yellow. Just like the Native American medicine wheel, a sacred hoop of hope. I've never done anything like this before. I know I made some mistakes, but I just wanted to say to the First Nations people, I honor you and remember you this day, and I pray for you all over in the reservations and all across this land. I want to say, I believe this is the Lakota tradition language, Mitakuye Oyasin. We are all relatives, and we must walk into the future together, or we will fall miserably down and fail together. Blessings to all. Thank you for watching and listening. This is Daniel Dano Pierce signing off on the Columbus Day 2011.